everyone is born with three fundamental elements. Three fundamental elements. We started last week about this. We started the discussion about this three fundamental elements. And I told us that we are all born with time, which is our lifespan. From the time you arrive on the earth, time begins to count. And you are allotted a specific number of time or a specific whatever, 75 years, 80 years, 120 years, whatever. We've got a lifespan. Everybody has a lifespan. Everyone is born with time. So there is nothing like, I don't have time. Everybody has time. Now, I'm not going to go over that message. If you missed it, you can request for it. I think Tony or John will share it. We spoke extensively about time and our lifespan. Second thing or second element, I don't know if that's the right word. Gemma will help us if element is the right word. The second element that we're born with is purpose. Everybody is born with a purpose. There is no accidental arrival on the earth. Everybody is born with a purpose. And the third thing that everybody, or third element that everybody is born with is potential. So three main things that we wanted to run through: time or lifespan, purpose, and potential. Now, last week I did say to us that your purpose cannot be fulfilled without your potential being harnessed. So purpose is the reason for existence. Potential is the capacity to fulfill the reason for existence. But potential and purpose can only be executed within your lifespan. So once you cross to the other side, you cannot come back here because you have unfinished business, which is why life is a serious matter. It's a serious business. So your potential and your purpose can only be fulfilled in your lifespan or within a lifespan, which is your lifetime. And this is why it's important that we pay attention to these things and make necessary adjustments when necessary. Okay, so we talked about the first element, which is the concept of time. And we talked about three fundamental elements of time again. We said time is a universal currency. It is used everywhere. Japan, China, it may be at different time zones, but notice it is time zones. So you may be anywhere on earth, time is a universal currency. And we spoke about number two, concept of time. Number second element of time is that time is a universal raw material. It is used for everything and anything you will do on earth. You want to fall in love, you must have time. You want to grow a business, you need time. You want to build a house, you need time. You want to study academics, you need time. You want to study music, you need time. Whatever you want to do on earth, time is a unique, universal raw material. It is used to do anything you want to do in life. Takes time. So the earlier you start, the better. Okay, and then number three, third fundamental element of time, still under time, is that time is a universal denominator. Everybody has 24 hours. Prince, king, rich, pauper, poor, whatever, male, female, black, Caucasian, Asian, whatever spectrum, wherever you are on the color spectrum, you are leveled with time. You can never have more time than your neighbor. What they do with the time is a totally different ball game altogether, but everybody has the same amount of time, 24 hours in a day. The days are not extended for some because they are rich or smart or beautiful or ugly. No, it's 24 hours. It's a leveler. God doesn't show partiality with time. It's a universal denominator. All humans are confined to 24 hours and have the same amount in a day. So we spoke about that and several other things. We won't go over that. So that was about time, the first element that we're born with. Today, we want to look at purpose and potential. Hopefully, we'll cover the two. Purpose and potential. Purpose and potential. Turn in your Bibles with me to the book of Jeremiah. Turn in your Bibles to the book of Jeremiah. I don't just want to quote it. I can, but let's just go there. Chapter 1. Let's read from verse 4. Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, saying, before I formed you in the womb. I think this is actually where we started the message about 4 or 5 weeks ago. Before I formed you in the womb. Notice the word. You can underline it. Before I formed you. Now, what God is about to tell Jeremiah happened before his formation. This is very important. The word before, very important. So before Jeremiah was formed, what did God say? God said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I knew you. That's very funny, because how can you know something that has not been formed? Think about it. I knew you before I formed you, which means there was a knowing in the mind of God that predated the formation of this person called Jeremiah. There was an understanding in the mind of God that predated, that's the right word, the creation of Jeremiah. He said, I knew you. And then the next statement says, before you were born, I sanctified you. Did you see that in your Bible? I sanctified you. The word there means to observe, to pronounce and separate or consecrate or dedicate unto something. So sanctify there, from quadas in the Hebrew, means to separate unto something, to sanctify, to remove for a specific purpose. And look at what he said. What was he sanctified unto? I ordained you a prophet to the nations. Notice the last sentence or statement is that, or God said, the last statement he made was that I ordained you, past tense, a prophet to the nation before I formed you in the womb. And before you were born, I sanctified you, separated you for this purpose, which means purpose. It's creation. Purpose is the reason for creation. Purpose is the reason for existence. Now, while potential is the capacity to fulfill that reason, like we said earlier, purpose itself is the reason for creation. So nothing happens just by accident. As far as God is concerned, he's the grand architect. Some people call him the grand architect. He orchestrates things with purpose. Everybody under the sound of my voice tonight, hear me well. Before you were formed, there was purpose. And that purpose is what gave birth to you, not your mom or your dad. Now, look at it here. Jeremiah had parents. He had a mom, he had a dad. When God was talking to him, he didn't mention that. They were the conveyor belt. They were the people that brought you in here. But they only brought you in because I had a purpose for someone to fulfill. And you see, the interesting thing is that the purpose of creation can only be found properly, accurately, in the mind of the Creator. I'll tie everything, just follow me, I'll tie everything together. The purpose for creation can only be found in the mind of the Creator. And I'm using a Jeremiah, it might be different things. It might be another, it might not just, not everybody here is a prophet, or not everybody here are prophets. But in this particular case, the purpose it can only be found in the mind of the Creator. Notice that God was telling Jeremiah something that he would not have known had God not spoken to him. He was just doing his own thing. Now God appeared to him and said, no, this is the reason you were created. This is the reason for which you were born. You may not know it, your parents may not know it. They may just think they were having fun. But no, there is a purpose. And to fulfill that purpose, I needed you to come. And now you are here. Now I am revealing the purpose to you. I understand that yeah, okay, I'll come to that in a minute. I was going to say it anyway, but maybe I should just say it anyway. Because of this, you must understand that as believers, as Christians, you must understand that your purpose is not really your decision. You don't just decide your purpose. You may decide to seek it, but you can't just decide, this is my purpose. Why? Because you are not the creator. Your purpose, you don't decide your purpose, you discover it. Two different things. You don't just wake up and decide, this is how I want to live my life. You know, people, especially these modern day folks, they say a lot of things. It's my life. I'm going to do whatever I want with it. Yeah, absolutely. It's your right to waste it. But when you go to the other side, the person that has the reason for you coming to the earth will ask you the question, this is you, but this is the person that lived. The real you never lived, even though you existed for 85 years. But you didn't live. Why? Because life is only determined within the context of purpose. Every minute you live outside of purpose, you are not really living, because you are not going to be judged for the things you did that you had no business doing. You are going to be judged for the things you did that was within the remit of your purpose. So you don't just decide to do whatever it is you want to do. No, you must make that decision consciously, following God's leading on your inside. We'll come into that when we talk about the leading of the Holy Ghost, because God didn't leave us helpless, which means God works within you to will and to do of his own pleasure. So there are desires that he births in you. There are desires that he births in you. And that's what makes you different from the unbeliever. You have a witness in your spirit. You are packaged with a knowing spirit inside you, that as you begin to pray and seek God and speak in tongues, clarity begins to come to you. He begins to lead you. And there are several ways he leads you, primarily through the inward voice, inward witness. He begins to shed light on you, on your inside. He begins to speak to you. He can give you dreams, visions, trances. He can operate through word of knowledge, tongues and prophecy. But he begins to give you guidance in the direction he wants you to go. He works in within you. But you must lean more on that working than on just your head. That's not where we're going today. Let's just finish this and then we'll come into how to be led by the Spirit into purpose. Okay, look at Genesis chapter 1. Let's read Genesis chapter 1. Purpose is the reason for creation. And God doesn't just do things without thought. He does things with purpose. Let's look at Genesis chapter 1. Let's read from verse 14. Then God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens. Why? Purpose. To divide day from the night. So the reason for this creation was clearly stated. He didn't just make light for fun. No, he said, let us make light. Let there be light in the firmament. And this is the purpose. Divide day from night. Let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give a light on the earth. The greater light to rule the day, and the lesser to rule the night. He made the stars also. God set them, the stars, in the firmament of the heaven to give light on the earth. Purpose, purpose, purpose. And to rule over day and over night. And to divide light from the darkness. God saw that it was good. Are you still with me? And I don't want to go into all the other ones. He told us that he made these things to give seasons, to give different seasons in verse 14. Let them be for signs and for seasons, for days and for years. Seasons. Reason for this creation is so that they can give us different seasons, days, years. Now, why am I still saying this? I'm still giving you reason, or rather proof, that creation never happened, at least from God's perspective, without a purpose in the mind of God. So purpose governs creation. And you don't decide it, you discover it. So you must see yourself, therefore, as an emissary. You're an emissary here. You were sent with a mission. Every believer must see himself or herself primarily as a missionary, someone with a mission. That mission must be your ultimate focus and your consuming. Jesus said to the disciples when they came back and said, have you eaten? He said, no, I have meat that you have. No, you don't know. When he met the woman at the well and he engaged the woman at the well of Samaria, I think that's in John chapter 4. And the woman was talking about, you don't drink here, I don't drink here, Jews don't talk to Samaritan. And Jesus said, no, do you know who I am? If you know who I am, you ask me to give you water, and I'll give you water, and the water I'll give you will be a well in you spring, and you never thirst again. So I'll give me this water. He said, go and bring your husband. You might say, I don't have a husband. I say, it's true. You have had 7 husbands. Oh, I know you're a prophet. And they had that engagement. They came back and said, oh, Jesus food said, I have meat that you don't know anything about. My meat is to fulfill the will of him that sent me, to do the will of him that sent me, and to finish it. Paul, at the end of his life, said, I have finished the race. I have kept the faith, which means he was clear about the purpose. And within his lifespan, he finished the purpose to which he came to the earth, even though it took him a while to collide with purpose. We'll come to that in a minute. But within the time he had, he delivered everything that God wanted him to deliver. You must see yourself as an emissary. You are sent with a mission. Somebody say, I'm sent with a mission. Yeah, say it again to yourself. You don't have to unmute it. You don't mute yourself. Just say, I'm sent with a mission. Okay. You must see that. This purpose. You must see purpose in your life. Because purpose is your definition. Without purpose, you don't have any definition. Purpose defines you. And the moment your purpose defines you, the moment your purpose is clear, immediately you take action, because purpose doesn't self-propagate. It doesn't self-fulfill. No, you must take action. We'll talk about taking action. There are a lot of things that we need to cover. But purpose, you must first discover it. A lot of times what happens is that people start running even before the gunshot. And the moment you do that, you are disqualified. A lot of times people start running without being clear, without asking the question, is this the direction I should run? They've already started running and they've gone far. I'm teaching on Sunday, and one of the things I want to teach them about acceleration is that acceleration is good, but it can be disastrous. Because if you accelerate and you are going to the wrong direction, you arrive there very fast. But you arrive at the wrong place, but arrive there very fast. So speed is good, but speed is useless if direction is not clear. Purpose must be at the start. Clear. Before you run, you must be clear in your mind. Paul said when he went to meet Peter, he said, "Lest I had run in vain. I came to meet this guy. Lest I had run in." He had to be clear. He's running. Don't just run. Sit down first. Calm down. And then run when purpose is clear. But the purpose must define you. It will govern the friends you have. It will govern who you associate with. Friendship is by choice. Friendship is never by force. Nobody can force you to be their friend without your permission. Friendship is by choice. Now, when purpose is clear to a man, it will govern the people that he or she allows in his inner circle. Why? Because evil communication corrupt good manners. Iron sharpened iron. So does a man sharpen the countenance of his friend. Oh yes, you have people around you, whether you like it or not, they are either influencing you or you are influencing them. So you need purpose to define and govern the people you hang out with. And like I said to you, don't wait for them to come to you, go to them. Once you define your purpose, prayerfully within your spirit, you begin to gravitate towards the right people or bring them to you. Go to them, come to you, pray about it, take it seriously. Why? Because you need those people in your inner circle. It will govern your friends. It will govern your habits. Your purpose will govern your habits. It will govern when you wake up, when you sleep. For example, if somebody is a footballer, his habits are not governed because of what he likes. His habits are governed because of his purpose. I think I read somewhere where Usain Bolt said, someone quoted it, that I don't usually quote unbelievers in my messages, as you know, but I'll just use that. It's a good thing. It's a good thought-provoking sentence. He said he prepared 2 years. Is it 2 years or 4 years? To run for 9 seconds. 2 years or 4 years or something like that. To just run for 9 seconds. So, and then some people try 2 months, 3 months, and then they say it's not working. There's no purpose. He understood his purpose, which meant he cannot wake up the time you are waking up. He cannot sleep the time you are sleeping. He cannot eat what you are eating. He cannot do what you are doing. Why? Because his purpose governs his habits. The reason we lose ourselves in many senseless habits is because we've not yet embraced purpose. The moment you embrace purpose and purpose turns into an all-consuming passion within you, you are blinded to many other things. Hence, people say some of us are hyper-spiritual. Pastor Tunde has come again. It's always Bible, 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 Bible. It's purpose. I'm clear in my mind. There is no ambiguity about what. I mean, I was starting with, I'm not sure if, I think she's on, I'll mention her. I chat with her, she likes troubling me a lot. So she sent me a clip and said I should watch it. And I said, what's the clip about? She told me what the clip was about. And I told her I'm not going to watch it. She said, no, you need to. And we had that debate back and forth. And I explained to her why I would watch it, and she understood. It has nothing to do with anything that I want to know. So there is no point even watching it. So it's harmless. It doesn't matter. It's not about whether it's harmful or it's not harmful. It's about discipline. I don't listen to everybody on, all these fancy American, sorry to use the word, super preachers that as far as I'm concerned, God forgive me. Let me just leave that for another day. You listen to the substance. You get so excited. People share it all over the place. Popularity, being popular, it doesn't mean anything to God. If they share all this funny stuff, my purpose is clear, which means I don't have to listen to every single Tom, Dick, and Harry online. I'm selective. Why? Purpose. Extremely disciplined. It governs what you do and what you don't do. It governs your plans. This is my purpose. It helps you shape your plan. It governs your goals and all these things. Your purpose is at the back of it. If there is no purpose clearly defined, then there is a problem. Go and ask the athletes. Look at what he says in 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 24 to 25. He says, do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one person receives the prize? He says, so run in such a way that you may obtain, which means there is a way to run to obtain. And if you don't run in that way, you will not obtain. Your purpose is clear. Once it's clear, there is a way to run it. It will govern your habits, your sleeping habits, your eating habits, who you talk to. You can talk to many people, don't get me wrong, but not for a long period of time. So everybody, you can talk to them 2-3 minutes, you have to be nice to everyone. I'm talking about building life relationships. Your purpose is what governs that. And that is at the bottom, is fundamental to your achievement, to your success or otherwise. Relationships. Purpose governs your relationship. And we are products of our relationship. A lot of things in my life that happen because of relationships. I've made money simply because I spoke to someone and then he told me, oh, come and do this. And I'm not interested. I don't really, no, you need to. And he literally compelled me, railroaded me, and I made tens of thousands of pounds going into that party. If it's a friend that is in my circle. Relationship. How did I meet my wife? Relationship. The friend in my circle. He didn't drop from heaven. So your purpose should govern the people you relate with. We look at your 10 closest friends. This is my closest friend. The person has no atom of spirituality. You should be ashamed of yourself. Completely ashamed. You should cover your face with shame. And we brag about it. Your closest friend doesn't know anything about God. Your closest friend or friends. Tell me who your next 5 closest people to you are. Tell me, and I can easily predict how you can move or you can be grounded. You spend so much time with them. Maybe your purpose is to be in that direction as well. Because if it's not, what are you doing? Oh yes, I've kept the same friends for over 2-3 decades. Trust me, same friends. Over 2-3 decades. Some a little less than that, maybe 10, 11 years, 12 years. Now, some are also new, I've just met. But in my inner circle is guarded. And yours should be too. Okay, time is running really fast. He says, they all run in such a way that you may obtain the prize. Everyone who competes for the prize is temperate in all things. They do it to obtain a perishable. We do it to obtain an imperishable. They're temperate, they're controlled, they're disciplined. He says, no one that goes to war entangles himself with the affairs of this life. So your purpose determines your habits, the things you do, your hobbies. You're a military person, you have no business with civilian life. That's what he's saying to us. All right. Are you here? Are you here? Good. Let's now look at some fundamentals of purpose, just like we look at the fundamental elements of time. Let's run through them. Let's quickly run through the fundamentals or the fundamental elements of purpose. Fundamental elements of purpose. I'll run through them. 1, I've already said it. Purpose determines creation. We've already said that. Okay? So we don't need to go over that again. Number 2, where purpose is not known or where purpose is not pursued. I've also said it in a different way, but I want to itemize them for you. Where purpose is not known or where purpose is not pursued, time, which is the first important element you have or you possess, time is wasted. So until purpose is known, until purpose is pursued, time is just a waste. You are just coasting along, which means all you likely will be doing will be to wake up in the morning, right? Have a bath. If you have kids, give your kids a bath. If you're the cooking type and you're the wife and the homemaker, make the food for them. If the husband is the homemaker, he makes the food for them. Whoever is doing the drop-off between you and your husband or you and your wife does the drop-off. If it's the two of you, you do the drop-off. You come back, you log in, you work from morning to when you close, and then it's time to go and pick the kids. You go back, you pick them, you come back home, you finish, you make food for them, you put them to bed, and that is your day. And that is all you have been doing for the past decade. That's all you have been doing for the past decade. Question, is that your purpose? If it is, that's fine. But if it's not your purpose, it means last 10 years, perhaps you've wasted purpose. You've wasted time. So where purpose is not pursued, time just passes by. Did God tell you to go to the studio 10 years ago and you have not gone? The studio is still waiting, but you have wasted 10 years because you're not pursuing purpose. Did he say to write? Did he say to put print? Did he say to, well, what exactly is it that that God has brought into your mind as a purpose, as an idea, as a dream? The interesting thing is that dreams are given by God to several, but it's only the person that hosts that dreams, that receives the dreams, locks it down, and acts on it, that delivers. So the same idea you're having that God is giving to you to pursue, you might be giving to somebody else, or you didn't do it. Yeah, I was thinking about that, and the person, yeah, sit down there. Where purpose is not known, clearly defined, and embraced or pursued, time is wasted. And time is the most valuable thing we have here, resource. I've described that. I'm not going to go into that. Okay, that's number two. Number three, without purpose, success can never be measured. And that is important because people think success is measured by the amount of money you have in your bank account or the number of houses you have. No, that's not true. That's not true. Remember, purpose is the reason for existence, the reason for creation. So if your reason is not the acquisition of houses, you cannot measure your success by the acquisition of the same. How many houses did Paul have? How many cars did Jesus drive? You should distinguish between things we do here as investment and for fun and purpose. Don't mix the two together. Separate them. There are things we do for fun. I want to buy those cars that I always mention to you. They are fun things. They don't define whether I'm successful or not. Whether I come in and you see me in a Rolls Royce Cullinan, or I come in a Subaru or what? A Mini Cooper, is not a definition of my success or otherwise. No, don't be fooled. Those are things. That's not the reason. I didn't come in here. My reason could not be to drive a car. My reason for coming to the earth cannot be to own a house. That cannot be my reason. Those are things you do because you are on earth, you are trading, you are being commercially savvy, you are investing, you are, moving ahead, but that cannot be your purpose. If it is, then it's fine. But if it isn't, don't be fooled or distracted to think that is why God sent you here. So success can only be measured within the context of purpose. And like I said to you, purpose is only clearly defined in the mind of the creator, which means the only person that can determine whether you succeeded or failed ultimately is the one that gave you purpose, is the one that created you and sent you here. So if you do not build according to pattern, no matter how beautiful the building is, it's a failure. If you don't run according to pattern, no matter how fast you run, it is still futile. So you can't measure measuring against if you did not have a clear purpose at the start? How would you didn't have a clear purpose you're pursuing? How will you measure your success or otherwise? So that's number 3. Now, another 4th dynamic of purpose or element of purpose is that where purpose also is unknown, when you don't know purpose, when purpose is not clearly defined, your potential is linked to the one I just said now. Your potential remain untapped or your potential. Remember, don't forget this definition. This is like classroom now. Purpose is the reason for creation, the reason for existence. Potential is the capacity, the energy to fulfill that reason, the force to deliver that reason or to deliver purpose. Now, where purpose is not clearly defined, your potential, your capacity to fulfill anything remains untapped because purpose is not clear, and purpose is what gives direction to your potential. So it's either it's untapped or it is misused. Turn to Acts chapter 26. Acts chapter 26. Let me just quickly run through this. Acts 26. Let's read verse 16 to 18. God appeared to Saul on the road to Damascus, and a bright light shone around him. He fell off the donkey, and he said, God told him, Jesus said, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he said, Lord, who are you that I'm persecuting? You know the story. You should know the story. Okay, so after he fell off and all of that, this is the background. He said, I am Jesus, the Lord, the one that you're persecuting. Now, after I did that, now, verse 16, Acts 26, verse 16. Look at what Jesus now began to tell Saul. But rise and stand on your feet, for I have appeared to you for this purpose, to make you a minister and a witness, both of the things you have seen and of the things I will yet reveal to you. I will deliver you from the Jewish people as well as from the Gentiles, to whom I now send you. Why am I sending you? To open their eyes in order to turn them from darkness to light, from the power of Satan to God, that they may receive forgiveness of sins and an inheritance amongst those who are sanctified by faith in me. Up until this time, Saul had been in existence, but Paul was not alive. Up until this collision, when God interrupted the journeys of a man named Saul, he actually thought he was running a good race. He actually thought what he was doing was what he was assigned to do. But until purpose is known and clearly understood, potential remains one, either untapped or misused. In the case of Paul, it was misused. He had been in existence pursuing, and he was just pursuing. And he did not recognize or realize that that was not his purpose, actually. He had potential burning inside him, but there was no clarity of purpose. So Jesus appeared to him and said, this is the purpose that I'm now appearing to you. This is the direction you're now going to go. Now, Paul had to go in that direction. Jesus didn't go for him. Once purpose is revealed to you, there are things you now need to do with that purpose. Right. Well, let me paint two scenarios to you. Who is Saul? Who is this Saul? Let me just use Saul as a general example. He's a man with potential, but running without the right purpose. So any one of us could be Saul. And until purpose met him, Saul was not born, even though Paul was not born, even though Saul had existed for decades. But the moment purpose came in, Paul was born and everything changed. Very sad scenarios, two very sad scenarios. Sad scenario number one, a man without God's purpose. He's without God's purpose and he's not responding to any inner potentials or drive. Is an obvious failure. There is no God purpose and there is no passion driving him. Now, in the case of Paul, there was no God's purpose, but there was passion driving him. That's the second man who is a dangerous man. The first one is without purpose and is not responding to any inner drive. That's sad scenario number one. Sad scenario number two is a man without God's purpose, but is responding to inner potentials or drive. This is a dangerous man. This is Saul. It was consuming him, but there was no clarity about the purpose. There was no clarity as to what he was supposed to do. He's a Moses. Something is consuming him, but there's no clarity of purpose. He went and killed somebody. Then he had to run away. It's consuming him. Two sad scenarios. Until God comes on the scene. Why? Because the way of man is not in himself. Why does God have to come on the scene? The Bible tells us in Proverbs chapter 19, verse 21. It says there are many, look at this, there are many plans in a man's heart. Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord, that is what will stand. The word plans is from the Hebrew word makashebeth, which means intentions, imaginations, things that run in your mind. He says there are many of these in a man's heart, but the Lord's counsel is what will stand. What is the word counsel? The word counsel then is from the Hebrew word etzar, which means the purpose of God, the advice of God. So there are many intentions, imaginations, plans, purposes in man's heart. Nevertheless, the advice or the actual purpose of God, that is what will stand. So Paul or Saul, if there is any Saul on this call, you are running. But are you running with a good idea? Good idea doesn't mean it's God. Good idea doesn't always mean that's your purpose. It's just good. Good idea is not always a green light. That's the first fundamental element of purpose. Number 5, I've already said it. Purpose is not self-fulfilling. You must go to work. So once you discover purpose, it's not going to do itself. No, you must go to work with wisdom. The extent of your success in your purpose is really is left to you, really, to a large extent. You can drive it. Paul said, I am what I am by the grace of God. Nevertheless, I labored. Now, purpose was clearly given to Paul here. This is what I want you to do. But it's now left for him to apply himself. And he said, I became what I became by the grace of God, he said. He now qualified it. He said, nevertheless, I labored more than all under that grace. I labored under that grace. It was clear to me the moment I received purpose, I added labor to it. Work will never be replaced in the life of a believer or a man that is pursuing purpose. Work will never be replaced with anything. So you must work. So knowing purpose is not enough. You must work. And I already said it to you that this purpose, it's what determines your potential. So what your purpose is, that's the last thing, number 6. Purpose determines your potential. So once there is a purpose, it's given, there is potential. You may not know you have that potential, but because there is a purpose, there is potential. And it is the purpose that determines your potential. So for example, God made this guy, Saul, now, I'm sending you. Immediately the potential, which means the capacity to fulfill the purpose, was born in him. Because he had an assignment and he needed to be equipped for that assignment. Purpose will determine your potential. Don't get frazzled about this. It's like a classroom. These are exhortations. And like I said, like we told us, this is a period of awakening. We've got 3 minutes. Let's go into potential then. Talked about the second thing, which is purpose. I hope your head is not too filled with classroom. It's being recorded so you can listen to it over and over again if you feel it's necessary. Okay, so potential, like I said to us, is the capacity to fulfill purpose. And this is the third element that human beings are born with: time or lifespan, purpose, and then potential. Potential just simply talks about your capacity to fulfill purpose. Let's run straight into, again, the dynamics of potential. What are the dynamics of potential? Just like we did for time and we did for purpose, the elements, fundamental elements of potential, or you call it dynamics of potential, however you want to name it. Number one, comparison distracts you from your potential. Or maybe we should take this next week. I just want to do as much as we can today. We've got just 2 minutes anyway. Comparison distracts you from your potential. So when you begin to compare yourself with someone that is not equipped with the same potential you are distracted. So at 140 miles per hour, your car may be faster than every other car on the racetrack. But that is because you are looking at every other car, not at your speedometer. If you look at your speedometer and you are wired to go 300 miles an hour, you are underutilizing your potential. So your potential to fulfill your purpose will get derailed and distracted when you compare yourself with people you have no business comparing yourself with. Of course, you should be, healthy competition. People should inspire you. People should motivate you and all of that. But you must compete against your capacity. You must compete against your capacity. You must stretch. Yeah, you must stretch. So comparison, number one, distracts you from your potential. True success is not necessarily comparing what you have done to what others have done, but rather comparing what you have done to what you can do. I repeat, and I close on that. True success is not necessarily comparing what you have done with what others have done, but it is in comparing what you have done to what you can do. I bring them to a close there. It's